On Press Perspective today, we touch upon the social issues related to South Korea, covered by the international media, ranging from reinstating Constitution Day as a public holiday to a growing travel trend here in the country. Hello and welcome. You're watching Press Perspective for this Thursday, July 24th here in Seoul. I'm Min Sun-hee. It's time for our weekly session on various social issues related to South Korea that made international headlines as well. For this, I have Rui Valdez with Spanish news agency EFE Spain here in the studio. Rui, welcome.
Happy to be here.
I also have writer Colin Marshall with the pundit's take on the day's discussion. Colin, it's great to have you here.
Glad to be here, Sonny.
Right, Colin, so South Korea celebrated Constitution Day, that is last Thursday, July 17th, and the president has spoken about reinstating this particular day as a public holiday. Now, back in 2008, if I'm not mistaken, it was removed from the list of public holidays. Could you remind us about that and also about the implications of its reinstatement if it were to happen?
Right. The holidays gain and lose their status here in Korea. Constitution Day it's still a holiday, but it's not a holiday where you get the day off work. That's an important thing. And this is the big difference. There are holidays, and then there are holidays. There are red days where not that everybody is off of work for those days, but where many don't have to work as a matter of official policy. Now, Constitution Day is a holiday that wouldn't be well known among foreigners in Korea necessarily, but also maybe wouldn't be so well known among Koreans these days. There is a ceremony that goes on. There was this last Constitution Day as well. There was a ceremonial event, and it was an opportunity for Lee Jae Myung to position himself in a way which we'll get to. But yes, the holiday was once a red day. It was an official public holiday. Lost that designation, as you say, in 2008, which was a few years, I believe, after Korea officially went down to a 5-day work week. And so the thinking, I believe, was, well, we have to sort of balance the scales here. If we're going down to a 5-day work week, then maybe we don't need so many holidays that are days off for people. You know, we've got to keep the time we're at work at least a little bit in balance. Now, that could have been one motivation, excuse me, for that, but as it's come down to us, this has not been a public holiday for about 20 years, now, less than 20 years now, but its status is, I don't know, we could put it in line with a holiday like Arbor Day in the United States, where people know about it, but it's not a day you get off. It's not a day where you sort of do anything in particular. Maybe you'll go out and plant a tree. In fact, Korea also has a day like Arbor Day, where you're supposed to plant trees, but that too it was once an official public holiday and then was delisted in, I believe, 2005. So as I say, this happens. The holidays get removed from the official list, put back on, sometimes removed again, as was the case with the Korean Arbor Day. But what does this say? You know, Constitution Day, it's, of course, a celebration of the constitution that underlies the Republic of Korea. It is a constitutional republic. But the lack of seriousness with which the holiday is taken that got it removed from the list, it tells you something about how the republic itself is seen here in South Korea. I often reference Brian Myers' book, 사랑받지 못하는 공화국, The Unloved Republic. And his thesis is that the Korean public does not, its nationalism, which can be significant if you look at it in a certain way, is not about the republic. It is not about 대한민국, not about South Korea as a political entity. So somehow the republic itself is always gets the short shrift. So you think of the other holidays that are public holidays. We have Foundation Day, we have Liberation Day, we have what else is there? Hangul Day. I mean, we have a variety of days here celebrating things that came before the foundation of the Republic, sometimes millennia before. And you can see what's important there. You can see what's being emphasized is, well, we look at Foundation Day. It goes back to, I believe it's 2333 BC with the mythical Danguns founding Gojoseon, seen as the beginning of the Korean people. That's what's emphasized, the Korean people as a whole. That is the nationalism in effect here. And somehow it's never about the republic because, as one person said to me here, you know, Korean history is a book this thick. And the Republic of Korea is this chapter. It's the very last chapter, and sometimes in a book like that, you don't get to the last chapter. You don't read the last chapter closely. So there's yet to be a real strong consciousness about the Republic itself, let alone the Constitution, and maybe Lee Jae Myung can change that. We'll see.
Right, and speaking about President Lee Jae Myung, this particular year, though, Constitution Day has been linked to last December's short-lived martial law. The president made a reference during his speech on July 17th last week to commemorate this particular day. Could you tell us a bit more about what he said?
Yes, as Colin was mentioning the historical background about all these holidays and how Koreans appreciate or not what is celebrating in these specific dates, there is a part, or some people believe that this in fact was also an opportunistic moment for President Lee Jae Myung to point out that even though, well, he firstly thanked the citizens for lawfully overcoming the political crisis sparked by the martial law in December. As we may remember, when former President Yoon Suk-yeol was ousted, was because the Constitutional Court stated that he, in fact, broke the Constitution in many ways. So this is why President Lee has this opportunity to link the importance of this day to what just happened last year. There is also an interesting part since President Lee became president. He does talk about the event of the martial law, or he calls it the national crisis that South Korea experienced, but he also tries not to reference Yoon by name a lot. And I think, well, this can be interpreted in many ways. One of them, as he would mention, or the people around him will mention, is a way to state that he's going to move forward, he's not going to look backward, and it's not time to get engaged in this type of disputes, at least publicly. But also, it could be a reflection of his confidence. Right now, his approval ratings are way high, above 60%, and the main opposition party is on record lows of 17%. So with all this context, taking into account that the Constitutional Court ruled Yoon's martial law as a grave constitutional violation, that Yoon deployed troops illegally, that he violated civil rights through the imposition of this martial law, President Lee takes the opportunity to put this holiday or potential holiday on the table and see how people react on it, and yeah, probably it will become this holiday. You know?
Right, so while the president has spoken about the possibility of reinstating Constitution Day here in Korea as a public holiday, over in France, Rui, a proposal to, I believe, abolish 2 public holidays appears to have paved the path to much public outrage in France. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, well, South Korea asked to revise this holiday for democracy. France wants to erase them for austerity. This can be interpreted also in different ways. It can be just a funny statement that creates some kind of controversy. Some will say it's an unnecessary political suicide by the Prime Minister François Bayrou, who made this statement. Also, it could be radical, but there are also some pundits that think this could be a distraction so that people focus on the discussion of these 2 holidays that are going to be scrapped, while other cuts from these austerity measures are being approved, and they are not getting the attention that probably they deserve. But let's explain it a little bit. So Prime Minister of France unveiled a 43.8 billion euros austerity plan, and he included in these plans was the elimination of these holidays. It's Easter Monday and May 8th, which is Victory Day, the Nazi Germany surrender in World War II. The justification behind it is that it was going to boost productivity to curb a debt that he says is increasing 5,000 euro per second. People in general didn't take this well. 75% of people in a survey made by BFMTV said that they did not agree with this proposal. He got criticism from both left and far right, and many claim that if they remove May 8th, Victory Day, it was like erasing World War II memory amid rising extremism. So they say that taking into account the context or the current context, it will be kind of ignoring some of the movements of extremist movements that are rising. No? Interestingly, or to be fair with the Prime Minister, this holiday in particular is not that popular around the world. Only other two countries celebrate it, Czech Republic and Slovakia. And in other countries, they take other important dates related to World War II, but not necessarily this May 8th date. Regarding the Easter Monday, in France, that has a very high population that are atheists or without religion, he said that there's no religious meaning anymore to celebrate Easter Monday. But on the other side, this particular date, it is celebrated in other countries that also have like a big quantities of unreligious people or diversely religious people. Then the last point of this is that if this was this distraction or necessity, France right now has 11 national holidays. It's more or less the same of the European Union average. If you cut them down, it goes right below, well, far below, if you take it like in a percentage view, of the average. So this would make a lot of noise immediately when you make that comparison in public. Then will create these big reactions, and probably what some pundit says is that this was intended by the Prime Minister or the administration of Macron to create some kind of distraction and and so that people don't focus on other more important budget cuts.
I see. Right then. Well, France contemplates whether to remove or not to remove these two public holidays back within national borders. Colin, Tweakment tourism, it's reportedly rising here in South Korea. For the sake of our viewers who may not be familiar with this particular jargon, could you start with a definition of what it means?
Yes, Tweakment tourism is a fun word, a fun neologism. Tweak, as in making a tweak, say, to your face or to some part of your body, getting it tweaked under the knife or other tool of a cosmetic surgeon, and so treatment and tweak put together. Now, this is a form of medical tourism, as I think you said, and medical tourism has been going on for a while here in South Korea, in large part, but not entirely, in its world-famous cosmetic surgery sector. Now, a tweakment, if you're going in for a tweakment, you're going in for a procedure that doesn't quite meet the, it doesn't quite meet the level of a full cosmetic surgery. You're not getting your jaw reshaped. You're not getting, you think of the procedures we think of that are publicly associated with cosmetic surgery, getting work done. They can be pretty extreme, but these are just tweaks, as the word has it. And so you can come to South Korea for one tweak, but if you're flying from far away, that might not seem worth it. You want to get a bunch of tweaks. So you might get 5, 10, 15, 20 of these little tweaks. Maybe they're scraping something, maybe they're injecting something, maybe they're sucking something out, that level. You get a bunch of these tweaks in one day, and if you're an influencer, if you're big on social media, you might make a video about it. And so that is driving this not in large part, but in part. Now, people from other Asian countries have been coming to Korea for a long time to get cosmetic surgery done, whether it's tweaks or something more major. But now you see influencers who, whatever ethnicity they might be, are based in other countries, based in the West, based outside of Asia. You know, you'll have Korean Americans, say, who do these videos. In the US, they say, oh, I flew back to Korea to see relatives, but I also got 20 procedures done in 3 days, something like that. So it makes for very compelling video content if you like that kind of thing. And so word spreads outside of the ethnic Korean world, outside of the US as well. It's becoming big in the UK. Also, there was an article in the Times of London recently about this. So the culture of tweakment is spreading, and like a lot of things that are popular, like a lot of elements of South Korean culture popular now, social media has a lot to do with it. But there are as well many tips that I think someone in search of tweakments would be well advised to take, such as, there are different levels of cosmetic surgery here. There are different kinds of clinics. Some are more like factories, some are more boutique. And as several of these influencers have been quoted as saying in these articles, get a cheaper hotel, spend more money on the surgery. Don't cheap out on the surgery to get a nicer hotel. Like if you're coming and you're going to do all this, you know, these are medical procedures. So you want to get to the highest standard you can possibly afford. And I think that's good advice. But this is a world that it has its own complexities, and the more research you do, the better if this is the kind of thing you like to do.
Right, and staying with Kbeauty, if you will, Rui, consumers in the US are reportedly stocking up on Korean beauty products ahead of the looming 25% tariffs. What are the prospects of Kbeauty exports as shared by pundits, Rui?
Right. Well, first, the impression, as Colin was also mentioning regarding Kbeauty, well, there's a lot of content in social media, and sometimes there can be an impression that the impact is higher than what it really is. But, well, being that said, the New York Times made an article where they integrated a lot of influencers with millions of followers, asking their followers to stock up all they could of Kbeauty products so that they could avoid the rising prices that will come with the tariffs that will start, the reciprocal tariffs that Trump administration applied that will start on August 1st. So yeah, there's clearly a trend that is of people, if not themselves, also encouraging other people to do this stacking up of these beauty products. To put things in perspective, Korean cosmetic exports hit a record $5.5 billion in the first quarter of 2025. This is US billions, and which this means an increase of 15% comparing to last year. South Korea has become, last year, the main cosmetic exporter, cosmetic product exporter to the US, and is the third globally. So this is a major industry right now for South Korea, and it's also quite a concern if it ends up being integrated with these tariffs as they are right now, and we haven't get any updates that it will change. But still, the tariffs announcements have been made in different ways, in different tweakings, if you want to call them, changing in percentages and whatnot. But the attitude of U.S. companies that import these products seems to remain the same. They are still betting in Kbeauty products. They say that in the side of Korean companies, they use a model of high margin profit that somehow protects them from the effect of these tariffs. And also, the belief of the U.S. importers is that these products are not that elastic in the sense of economics. Like if the price rises, consumers don't react as quickly, or they don't reduce their consumption that fast. Colin was mentioning that happened too with the tweaking thing. Consumers have developed distrust in Korean beauty products that they are willing to pay more in order to get them. Still, the difference between Kbeauty products with, let's say, France or Germany is still quite high. So there's still a level that can rise and consumers will still accept it. So yeah, so we can conclude that there seems to be a trend of stocking up these products, but also at the same time, the US companies, the US importers are not really changing their attitude yet.
Right, good to know, good to know. On a more solemn note, Colin, while recovery efforts here in the country from last week's torrential rain continue, another concern is the spread of disinformation about the tragic event through images generated by AI. Could you tell us a bit more about this?
Yes, it sends my mind back to 2022. 3 years ago, we had even bigger rains, I believe, at that time, and there were floods in Seoul, and images were circulating that weren't fake, they were real. There was one particular photo of a man sitting on the hood of his car, surrounded by water. He couldn't go anywhere, and this was turned into a variety of fake movie posters, some of them fairly convincing. One of them called Gangnam-yeok, or Gangnam Station, and it looked like, oh, this could be a disaster movie, like the actual photo was real, but the framing was parodic. So everybody sent those around in 2022. This year, it's quite different because you have, as you say, these engines, AI-powered engines that can generate out of whole cloth videos that take nothing from reality but look to some people convincing. So the video that everybody is talking about this time is a video of floods, but at Gyeongbokgung, at the Central Palace, where the palace is flooded with water, but also at some point you see a seal float by, which is, you'd think that would be the giveaway. But for a lot of people it wasn't. And this has been, it's hard to say how many people are actually taking it seriously and how many not. But really, when you look at the material that's long been circulating on, say, Facebook, even before the age of convincing AI videos, you'd see some very unconvincing stuff, and some people would still circulate it as if it were real. Maybe they believed it, maybe not. Who knows? Kind of hard to be sure these days. So this is an era where it's more important than ever to consider the source, as the saying goes. And if you just see something circulating on social media, maybe don't take it at face value right away. And if you see a seal in a video about a flood in Gyeongbokgung, probably you can discount that material. But yes, I think whenever there's a public event now, because of social media culture, it's going to circulate as something. And so the higher technology we get, the more likely something fake could be convincing. And so the best we can do is to bear that in mind. Anything you see could be fake, and maybe it won't always be as obvious as the Gyeongbokgung video going forward.
Right, and Rui, what countermeasures have been perhaps proposed to address the presence of such false images generated, of course, by AI? We have like about a minute left.
Yes, in next year, South Korea will implement a law that is the AI basic law that it covers many different things related to AI, but related to these fake videos or deep fake videos that we can talk in another show, they include watermarking of all generative AI content and transparency labels on AI-generated media in order to force the people or companies who produce these products to show consumers that this was generated by AI. Nonetheless, experts have many doubts that this is actually going to work, because it's quite easy to take out these watermarks anyways, and people don't seem to care about regulations or telling the truth. As we may recall, just a few years ago, AI was starting, and yeah, maybe there was some funny videos you could tell, but besides the video with the seal, they're getting better and better. Still, maybe you can find some tricks, but in, I don't know, 2-3 years, it's going to be very hard to discern. So this is a really big concern for the country and the world.
Right. As you said, it's a universal concern as we speak. All right. I'm afraid that's all the time we have today. As always, thank you very much for your time and your thoughts.
Thank you, Sonia.
Colin, thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you.
Right. That ends Press Perspective for today. Thank you for watching. See you same time tomorrow.